Seems to be three things Scam understand in anime, and that's tear bait, action bait, and masturbate. Anything more complex seems to fry his brain. His recent video of Heaven's Lost Property is just another example of how he's trying to destroy his inner child. Trust me, I know that becoming an adult really sucks, but becoming a cold, logical, cynical machine to hunt down your past self's interest and enjoyment, at least the anime portion of that, seems like an overreaction to that and a bit
masochistic.
But I guess it's fine, especially if you can be funny and make money doing it like Scam does. But taking the approach of why can't anime be all serious and mature and tough like mine seems counterproductive to me and a little ironic, especially with some of the jokes he pulls out of his ass sometimes. He truly seems like the frat bro of AniTube community with a PhD in assholery, and with his thesis paper being "You just don't understand Eva," spelled in a retarded way. The thing is, Scam really doesn't need to understand something to rip it a new a-hole. If he just summarizes it in a cynical enough of a manner, he can tear it apart from there. I can sort of understand why when I type his name into Google that racist pops up next in the autofill column. Things like absurd comedy and abstract mysteries are lost on him. Ironically, it's sort of like he wants an autofill for the things he doesn't understand in these animes that he at least pretends to criticize. Well, it came up racist, Scam. I guess there's no more to think about on that subject matter. No, you don't need every bit of information, and it doesn't make it racist automatically. The horror genre pretty much makes the best use of this. You can say the same for mysteries, but at least they have to have a logical conclusion. So it's a bit of a toss-up there. Probably why he doesn't like VTubers. He doesn't understand them. Let me let you know something. No one understands VTubers, or at least their recent mass appeal. It would probably take a PhD in psychology, sociology, and memeology to attempt to do so. There are some things you're just supposed to sit back and enjoy, let your mind wander like meditation. This is half a Scam's problem, and probably the appeal. If he doesn't understand something, he'll shit on it, or bash it with a rock, something like that. Most of the time, he won't even make the effort to understand. Now, I understand effort can be hard. Why make the effort when it's easier to make fun of something you don't initially understand? Take the 5 minutes to try to understand it before you throw your hands in the air and act like you just don't care. It's a good philosophy from a very wise man. Or men. There are many people in this world who probably think just like this, and there's others who enjoy out of selling in this particular research field of anime. And in particular, Harlem and ecchi anime are really easy to tear into and even harder to defend, especially in today's current climate. They've been a recent go-to of his in the last month. Little funny given that he praised interspecies reviewers, but it shows his dude bro mentality rather well. As someone who isn't also heavily into this genre myself, I understand the need to go on a funny rant about some of the more popular ecchis from the past. It's easy and lazy content that's even harder to object to given the age of the anime and the said memory holding of the anime in question. That really brings to mind the question of why did you actually go with Heaven's Lost Property? Didn't you say it was a beloved in your past and you rewatched it and it made no sense to you? Are you that out of touch with yourself? I mean, I haven't watched it in a while and I remember in it not being great, but great at what it did. It was not logical. It was absurdist comedy, but that's not what we're here for, defense. Why did he not bring up something like High School DxD or the other crappy anime that I remembered trying to watch but can't remember its name? A big titty fighting thing. Or the boob ball thing, which was completely hilarious, but I never watched it. Just the concept makes me laugh. Or the cooking anime where everyone gets naked after they eat food. I'm thinking it's because he secretly knows that they're good. Both Heaven's Lost Property and, in certain degrees, High School of the Dead. Or I should at least say, worth watching. And also, he might be trying to beat that inner child back into the cellar or attic, wherever he keeps that part of himself in that shrinking heart of his, where he thinks it belongs. Either that, or he's become much more strict and mature, or probably more intolerant as he's grown older. He can't laugh at the absurd humor or the darker tones. The tonal whiplash is just too much for him, especially why he's probably finding that hard on at the same time. There are really many possibilities I could guess at, and we might never know, but I believe I made my point. Heaven's Lost Property is done sort of in the same veins of Konosuba. It just really covered a different era of anime. The two main differences I see besides genre and era that they were covering are the bases for the characters and source material. Heaven's Lost Property came from a manga. Konosuba came from a light novel. In reality, I could do a whole breakdown of how these two series are similar in nature, but really that would be a waste here for several reasons, but let me not bore the remaining viewers who are still on this video. So the point I'm trying to make is that Scam praises Konosuba but hates on Heaven's Lost River, and frankly I find this downright funny and a bit ironic. Do a breakdown of all his videos to see what narrow scope of anime meet his stern approval, and the ones that either bore or confuse him. Or I could just take his approach and call him a modern day elitist, self-hating man baby who's probably part of a group of a after college fraternity like the idiots from Old School or Proud Boys, which gives hazings that cause brain damage and mocks them for getting off on anime titties instead of getting that real puss. But I'm not. There's no real way of knowing if he even really means anything seriously in any of his videos. After all, his name is Scam. Or if the Chad anime watching persona for his YouTube channel is taken from his actual real life personality to a certain degree. But it's clear the opinions he gives on his channels shouldn't be taken too seriously and should be written off as the jokes they are. I'm done.